what on earth is urban skating? It's mad. People jumping off walls, doing gaps, cruising downstairs, darting about between cars and people.
Do you do this for a hobby? Annoy people?
Kind of like a human version of Wipeout 2097. In this video we're going to explore the different styles of urban skating and find out what it's all about. Reversing back to 1700, the first inline skates were invented when a Dutchman attached wooden spools to a strip of wood and then nailed them to his shoes. A fairly brutal but secure way of getting them on there. It might even be better than today's standards. These also look suspiciously like wish frames. Shuffling on to 1819 and Paris, where M. Petitbled patented the first roller skate. The wheels were inline, but they were calling it a roller skate. It actually looks like a little foot canoe with wheels. Over the centuries there was various mad looking iterations. I'm sure that's just a shadow. Some of them look proper lethal, man, but also a good laugh. The public might look at rollerblading a little bit differently if we all dress like that now, hanging around the skate park in the Sunday best.
Oh, suit you, sir. Suit you, sir. Oh, suit you, sir.
Another huge leap to more modern times, and the first patent named an inline skate was made in the 1960s. It was called Chicago. I'm pretty sure my nan had shoes like that. Fast forward to 1980, hair was big, footy shorts were small, E.T. had popped in for a visit.
Oh God!
Indiana Jones was out and about pinching artifacts from ancient temples. And not too dissimilar to Indiana Jones, hockey enthusiasts Scott and Brennan Olsen were rummaging around the local sports store when they discovered the Chicago inline skate. They realised that this beat up Cornish pasty looking thing was exactly what they needed for ice hockey training when it was out of season. They shot off to the lab, tinkered about and came up with their version of the inline skate. It was ideal for quick and responsive moves on all manner of terrain.
And everything's the same except for the ice surface.
Oh, and while they were locked away in their dungeon, they came up with a fairly handy brand name as well. Rollerblade. They started doing alright for themselves. In '86, the rollerblading industry was pulling in about 7 million. However, their accountant was on the swizz and stitched them right up, embezzling 100 grand, which left them in a pretty sticky situation.
We're the sticky bandits.
Bankruptcy was looming. A new player taps in, matey boy Robert Naegli, with a set of decent nashes and an even better business brain. Because the Olsen brothers weren't in a fantastic situation, they ended up selling 95% share of the company for 100 grand. Things actually took a slide for the Olsens as well, and they sold the rest for a 1% royalty of the company that would last 10 years. Robert knew what he was doing and took rollerblading in a slightly different direction, which worked an absolute treat in the 80s, and everybody was getting involved. Inline skating, now being referred to as rollerblading through their success, was going from strength to strength. And in the 90s, things absolutely blew up and birthed aggressive inline skating. It's been a fair bit of a roller coaster since then, with a variety of styles developing, one of them being urban skating. Now before we tuck into that, a quick word from this video's sponsor.
Hey, what's up? This is Sean Keen. My new Pro Skate is now available worldwide. Full sizes coming this summer. Go rollerblade!
Urban skating kind of blurs the lines between aggressive skating, which is traditionally trick-based, and then recreational skating, which is focused on fun and fitness. And it's become increasingly more popular over the last decade or so. Typically it's about flowing through urban environments, interacting with and navigating obstacles along the way. There's a fair few varying styles in urban skating, so let's go over a few of them. There is flat out pegging about the place from A to B, which is like a turbo version of fitness skating. I'd say this splits into two kind of camps. There's one that's birthed some of the most irritating form of social media content. Requirements for this one seem to be a selfie stick, GoPro 360, being a narcissist,
I think I'm in love.
and throwing yourself between people and cars.
What the hell are you doing?
It's not always worked out for them though. And the other is more focused on exploring the city at high speed, occasionally throwing in jumps and stair rides. Sean Unwin of Free Flow has some great videos cruising around the city, taking on obstacles as they appear. less people and cars, a little bit more city and exploring what the city offers. The next notch up from this, and they're still hooning about like real life Crash Bandicoot Racer. But this time the focus leans more into interacting with the city's architecture and taking advantage of that for a unique experience. Then you've got the likes of Nicholas Swan, who is somewhat of an anomaly. His style of urban skating is focused on traversing specific areas, connecting tricks and obstacles together in a flowing movement, similar to skating a spot in aggressive skating and doing a line. He doesn't ever do grinds. It's all about utilising the environment's features to find an interesting way to move through the area, combining rolling, jumps, cess slides, wall rides and bonks. Doing tricks but removing the grinds from his repertoire forces you to focus on the abilities of the wheels and make the flow of movement more important. The results are captivating and full of creative skating. Now for the type of urban skating I've just mentioned, the equipment typically looks like a turbo version of a rec skate that's more supportive. You can find urban skates from the likes of FR, Power Slide, Rollerblade, Flying Eagle, Micro. These typically have an 80mm wheel on a short frame base which gives you all the speed and manoeuvrability that you'll need. Even them skates have an 80mm option and a collaboration with Braindead. There are variations though. You can get free-wheeled options, typically 110mm wheels, again from the likes of Power Slide, FR, Rollerblade. I like monster truck wheels, man. You can build up some serious speed on those things. I tend to find it easier to balance on the 4-wheel setup than I do on the 3. But it's whatever you're into. Prices vary as well. You could get into it with a skate just under 90 quid, or you could risk being in the doghouse for the rest of the year and go all in on a Micro Delta Force skate at just under 540 quid, with its carbon fibre shell, carbon cuff, fully heat moldable, CNC machine high grade aluminium, all the bells and whistles for energy transfer, responsiveness, comfort and control. If you get bang into it, there's frame options out there for you as well. You've got companies like Endless who do 80, 90 and 100mm wheel frame options. They've even got mirror frames so it'll look like you're floating around like a Dementor. Actually, you probably might accidentally set some things on fire if the sun reflects off that. You know, like when people used to get magnifying glasses and try and burn ants. How mean. For the styles I've mentioned, grinding is the one thing that's missing from aggressive skating, unless of course you're Sam Crofts and you can grind on absolutely anything. The next style I'm going to talk about blurs the lines between aggressive skating and rec fitness skating even further. A little bit controversially, this is sometimes referred to as power blading. It is off the Ricky Tick, man. Power slide riders have been experimenting with 80mm flat setups and had found it absolutely buzzing. So they used the term power blading. This was first used in October 2010. You can see where the names come from now. The designs were presented at the end of 2010. They tested throughout 2011. And at the end of that year, they presented the final product. Basically, an aggressive skate with a frame that could house either a 72 or 80mm wheel. The frames were plastic to make grinds easy. It also had a groove, so groove tricks were possible. Now a little bit on the controversy, and from what I understand, people outside of power slide were just calling this regular aggressive skating. It was aggressive skating with bigger wheels. They didn't appreciate power slide trying to rebrand it and claim it as their own thing via power blading. There is a little bit more to that story, especially stuff that happened before this incident, but I'm not going to go into it. I'll let you find out for yourself. Fusing rec and aggressive skating in this way has brought on some jaw-dropping results. The bigger wheels allow the skaters to generate more speed, getting more amplitude for gaps and wall rides. They can move over a variety of surfaces much smoother, really opening up the possibilities of what can be deemed a spot. Being able to cover longer distances in a shorter amount of time opens up the possibilities for lines and creativity. That increased speed can really bring a lot of amplitude to the simple things you can do. Elite skaters get rowdy on these things. Look at the likes of Nick Lomax, who is probably the best urban skater in the world. The stuff he can do on these things is absolutely wild, man. He absolutely terrorizes the streets of Barcelona. There's no stopping him. He'll be halfway up your wall, grinding a pipe, then he'll be shooting off down some stairs, over a bank, flipping over this, spinning over that. It's absolutely raucous.
I almost knocked myself out.
The best thing about urban skating, or inline skating in general, is that there's loads of varieties of styles out there. There's something out there for you. If you want to just cruise around, you can do that. If you want to lean more into the aggressive, do tricks and stunts, there's stuff there for you as well. It's the absolute one. Huge shout out to all my Patreons, your name is up on the screen. I really do appreciate all the support you give me. It helps me to keep this thing going. Here's another video you can check out. If you want to support, like, comment, subscribe. There's also this thank you button. If you donate a little bit of money, your comment gets highlighted and I get supported. And it honestly, it really does help me out. Until next time, Spotty Dog.